Managers of Reddit past or present. What is your favorite I am the manager story? I worked at a restaurant where you filled in a ticket with all the ingredients you wanted on your pasta pizza salad. There were large boards above a counter explaining how to order correctly. Once customers filled out their ticket, they could bring it to the register. During a weekend lunch rush with a line of at least 25 people, a woman comes up to the counter and tells our cashier what she wants. When the cashier told her that he needed a ticket, she got annoyed about the inconvenience, all while the line builds up behind her. She demands to be given a ticket and begins filling it out right there. Seeing this, I come up to the cashier and tell him to ring up the people behind her while she takes her sweet time making the important decision of which pasta sauce she wants. She finally finishes, pays, and sits with her gaggle of companions. Later she comes up to me and tells me that my behavior of having the waiting customers pay before her was extremely rude. I respond by telling her we try to make sure every customer gets speedy service, and her holding up the line because she didn't read our large signs was also rude to all of the other customers. She tells me that she'd like to speak to the manager to complain about me. With a gleeful, and maybe slightly evil, grin I reply, "You already did. I'm the manager." The look on her face when she realized she wasn't going to get to be and feel vindicated about my mistreatment of her was lovely, and even though this was years ago, it still brings me joy. It's the little things that are the most important. What a beautiful story. Worked as a supervisor in an optical retail store. We got issued name badges with our first name and job title written on them, and as I was only recently promoted, I put on my badge saying optical assistant, with my supervisor badge in my pocket. This isn't a massive issue, as normally when dealing with customers, if you tell them you're a manager, they respect that. Normally, enter customer C that doesn't adhere to this rule. They had a problem that I was very easily able to offer a solution to, but was absolutely adamant they wanted to speak to a manager. C: "Can you please get me your manager?" Me: "Actually, I am a manager. How can I help?" C: "No, get me your manager. You know, the person in charge." Me: "Mom, I am a supervisor and I'm more than able to help you with any complaints. Unfortunately, the only other manager in is taking care of yesterday's banking and is unable to leave." C: "That's not good enough for me. Go get the manager." So at that point I realized I didn't have the correct badge on, so I turned around, switched them over and turned back to the customer. Me: "Hi, I'm the manager. How can I help?" She stormed out and put in a complaint against me. So worth it. Automotive industry here. Quick lube style place. Franchise where owner only owns 2 locations. I'm the service center manager of 1 location and area manager over both. Customer rolls up and asks for an oil change. She drives her van in, hops out, and walks around the side of the building. Once we finished the service, she walks back around and gets in the van. She starts to pull the van out and starts yelling about her window, saying we broke it and that it wouldn't roll up now. I immediately pulled up the camera footage clearly showing the window was down when she pulled in, and she didn't want to hear it. She promptly asked for the manager. I explained that I was the manager. She demanded to speak to my regional manager. I explained that I was the only person she'd speak to, as the owner is fairly absent and doesn't handle petty store level complaints. She called the corporate 1-800 number on the back of our invoices. Because we're a franchise, that complaint gets typed out and sent right back to my email inbox with a phone number to contact the customer. She wasn't pleased to hear my voice calling her to shut her down again. God, I wish you had a company phone that just forwarded straight to you. I'll call the 1-800 number. Ring ring ring. "Hey, I'm still the manager." And number. I used to work for a particularly large ISP doing tech support. One day the guy working next to me was dealing with a particularly rude business customer. The business customers were usually treated like kings, but this guy was having a particularly hard time even getting a word in. Eventually he put up his hand to motion the supervisor come talk to the customer. Right then the owner of the company happened to be walking by with another one of the execs. I've met the guy a few times at the company social events and he is a really down-to-earth employee friendly boss. He asked what the issue was with his customer, and after it was explained he took the headset and picked up the line. After listening for about 4-5 minutes he said very flatly, "That's never going to happen. Especially not when you have an attitude like a 13-year-old girl." again listening for a minute before he said, I don't have a manager. I own this company and I don't have to listen to this crap from an butthole like you, and neither do my employees. I'm terminating your account with us. He hung up and I watched him disable this guy's account and add a note to the file. Customer is in butthole. Do not reinstate account. Boss. Then he just handed back the headset and carried on about his day. Your boss is awesome. When I was in high school, I worked at a candle store in the mall. For the most part, everything was returnable for store credit unless it was a sale item or holiday specific stuff. I had a woman giving me the hardest time about not being able to return something that had obviously been used for an event and she no longer needed. She asked for the manager, who was there but wasn't satisfied with her answer. She went on to ask that we contact someone else about it, and it just happened that we had a visitor from head office at the store that day. Still not happy with getting the same response from all of us. She went on that general disgruntled customer rant of this place is terrible and I'm going to tell everyone how terrible it is and no one is going to shop here, and in the best move I've ever seen, the woman from head office dragged a ladder out into the middle of the mall walkway and insisted that the woman start telling people about her experience right then and there. The woman quickly shut up and left. It was beautiful. Oh, how I wish more corporate types did this. Got a phone call from one of my salespeople. Guy wanted an item for the same price as Best Buy, except Best Buy didn't have them in a stock on their website or in store. I checked. Plus, we don't have a price match guarantee. So I denied the price match. Got another phone call about 20 minutes later from the same salesperson, sounding frizzled, for the same price match. I tell him to hold on and decide to take a walk. So I show up and the guy is still there, and 3 of my guys are standing around with that I just got yelled at for 20 minutes look I've had on my own face far too often. I walk over and ask the customer what was the matter. I then make a big show of scanning the item and checking Best Buy's website and checking our internal POS system before sadly declaring that, gee, I sure would like to price match the item but, unfortunately, I cannot. Sorry. How would you like to pay today, sir? Guy freaks the frick out, yelling about how ridiculous it all is and how we're violating our price match guarantee and how he's going to email corporate. Unfortunately, sir, we do not have a price match guarantee, and I'm afraid we are unable to match that price in this particular instance. Now, would you like to pay for this item now? Sir, I saw a price match guarantee on your website. I am gonna email corporate. Sir, I'm afraid we have no price guarantee on our website. You may be confusing us with another company, sir. If you'd like to think about your purchase, we can always give you a price quote. You do have a price guarantee. I saw it on your website. You're being very unreasonable, sir. Perhaps you'd like to think about your purchase and complete this transaction at a different time? This is freaking ridiculous. And he took out his phone, snapped a picture of my face and a picture of my name tag, and stalked out, over a $12 price difference. So I told the salesperson he could take an unlogged break, and I went back to my office. I looked up the guy's account, and then googled his name, a VP at some tech company in California. I put a note in his account. Good luck getting a return authorization now, butthole. I informed the director of sales as soon as possible, because sire, he giggled when I got to the picture taking part of the story. Your favorite corporate coffee shop. A lot of the times I have a headset on to listen to the drive-thru as well in case they need help taking an order or grabbing something. So I listen to all the customer interactions. Usually the customer will get upset about something, ask for a manager, and then when I have to go to the window to talk to the customer, I have my headset on with me, listen to what they said happened, and will tell them okay, but that's not what I heard on the headset. But if you want, I can also pull the recording as well. They leave. Not my story, but my parents. They owned a franchise deli some 12 years ago. My mom was there full time making things run smoothly, and my dad would be there sometimes to help out when he wasn't working his tech job. Well, this lady came in one time and ordered her food. When it arrived, she claimed that the kitchen made it incorrectly. My mom apologized for the inconvenience and comped her meal, as well as gave her a certificate for a free sandwich next time the lady came in. So the lady comes in again, orders her food, and again claims it was made incorrectly. My mom again apologizes and gives her another coupon for a free sandwich. This happened probably 1 or 2 more times. My dad had heard about it and was convinced they were just being scammed by this lady. Well, the next time the lady comes in, my dad happens to be working the kitchen. Sandwich lady comes through the drive-thru and orders. My mom recognizes her, and so to make sure everything is perfect, my dad makes her food himself and gives it to her. A couple minutes later, the lady calls the store to say her food has been made wrong again. My mom sets the phone down and goes to my dad and says the lady is on the phone and says you made her food wrong again. My dad says you tell that I didn't make her food wrong and that she is never welcome in this restaurant again. My mom picks up the phone and says and the lady goes, I heard that. You tell that boy that he is fired, and my mom responds with, Mom, the boy is the owner of the restaurant. The lady hung up and never returned. My parents both have a long laugh about that whenever they are thinking of all the stupid bulls that went on with that restaurant. I was the GM of a beautiful new big name hotel at 2324. My AGM was a white woman in her 50s, me being mixed. Many occasions occurred where I was speaking with a guest over an issue and they demand to speak to a manager only for me to say I am the manager. No, the real manager please. The look on their faces when my co-worker told them I was in fact her boss with a huge smile. Luckily my AGM was a kick-butt woman and we got a kick out of this. A couple years ago I had been given a great opportunity to open a new restaurant. I was in my mid-20s and this was the first chance I had been given to completely run the show. It was our opening weekend, so I called up one of my old managers who's also a good friend and asked if he would come help me for the first week, which he happily agreed to. So it's Saturday night, every table is filled and the wait is over an hour. Things were going better than I expected, although I honestly wasn't sure what to expect. Myself and my friend, who's about twice my age, were just walking the dining room, spending the majority of our evenings clearing plates and talking with customers. Everyone was cheerful and many commented on how happy they were to have a new restaurant in the area. Then came the first problem customer in our young history. When I cleared her plate and asked how everything was, she snapped about how they had been waiting 5 whole minutes for the server to pick up their credit card. I told her I could help her with that and reached for the card she put on the table. A look of complete disgust came over her face and she snatched the card back and put it in her purse. Okay, cool. A couple minutes later a server asked me if I picked up the card. I told them no. She put it in her purse and that she was ready to give it to her. That's when it went off the rails. This woman insisted that I had taken her card and was demanding I return it. I stopped back over and told her I watched her put it back in her purse, which she vehemently denied and started to be unreasonably loud. She began demanding I find her card now, or she was calling the police, and actually stood up and was stomping her foot like a child. This actually threw me off as I started to wonder if in the chaos of the night, I actually did take her card. So I look everywhere, no card. I go back and ask her again to please look in her purse. She refuses. My friend sees this happening and comes over to try and assist. It was at that point that she stood up, looked him straight in the eyes and said, "Your filthy boss boy lost my credit card and you better find it now." Now it started to make sense. She was looking down on me, and that's why she didn't want me to touch her card, because she assumed I was some sort of lowlife. He explained to her that I was actually the manager. Her behavior was appalling, and asked her to look in her purse for the card. What a surprise. There it was. She put her head down, paid, and left without saying a word. Never saw her again. We had this insane and rude as heck old woman screaming and ranting she couldn't use a coupon for something the coupon was not even for. We stood there arguing a good 5 minutes holding the line up. Her grown granddaughters were with her trying to calm her down and embarrassed as heck. Usually, I would have just given in and let her use the dang thing, but she was being so rude I was not about to help her. She asked me to speak to my manager and I said I was the manager, and she didn't like that at all and said, "Well, I'll just go to the other location in town, they will take my coupon." And I said, "Not if you don't buy what IT is for." She left. Few minutes later we run out of a product we need and I call other location and they have some we can borrow, so I head over to get it. I walk in the store and who do I see about to get in line for some food? The old coupon lady. So I wash my hands, glove on up and jump on the food line. The lady walks up to the counter and I smile huge and say, "Hello. How can I help you?" Her granddaughters both gasp and go, "Oh god, here we go," and the look on the grandma's face was priceless. She did not try the coupon again lol. Timing could not have been better. They had to be tripping out lol. 22 years old, low-rung manager of a movie theater. Guy tearing tickets, took a lunch break so I am tearing tickets. Lady comes in, like an hour before her show is supposed to start. The end of the film is still going on, and she is holding what I can only guess is an ice cream sundae made for 4 people. I tell her we aren't letting in for that film yet, and she can't bring an outside food into the theater. She gets into a tizzy and tells me that she always brings food into the theater and no one has ever stopped her. I'm an impetuous 21/22-year-old making 20 cents over minimum wage. So I tell her it's been a rule since before World War II. You should get out more. She says I want to talk to the manager. I say sure thing. I'll go up to the office and he will come down. And then I walked up to the office, checked my Hotmail, I'm old, and came down and told her I'm the manager and she can't come in with the outside food. Ended up giving her a refund for her ticket after she said I know the owner of this theater and he will fire you. It would have been nice if I had been fired. I would have gotten unemployment. Was the business manager for a local computer store several years back, but this story is about the main manager. Guy comes in and is furious because his Mac won't work. Looks like liquid damage. Swears up and down it's because we sold him a faulty machine a few weeks back. He wants a full refund and is screaming in my face about it. Finally, he says I want to speak to your manager, cause ain't no goddamned woman no crap about computers. I smile a little, tell him no problem, step in the back and grab my manager, and out walks a tiny little Hispanic girl, heavily pregnant, big smile on her face, cause she's been watching the cameras. He spluttered out something about asking his kids about spilling stuff on his computer and is never seen again. I manage a medical clinic. Our usual receptionist was out that day so I said I would cover front desk, which is no big deal. We were looking at getting some building work done and I'd arranged quotes from a couple of builders and was trying to arrange an appointment with one more. A guy rang the intercom and told me he had an appointment with us. Thinking he was a patient, I buzzed him in and tried to find him in the diary but couldn't see him anywhere. He comes in and says, "Hi, I have a meeting here at 3 p.m. Me. Hi, let me try to find you in the diary. What's your name please? Guy. It's boring name. Me. I can't see anything in the diary. Are you a patient or is this a business meeting? I assumed he may have been a surgeon or doctor through to meet one of our clinicians. Guy. It's a business meeting. Your boss asked me to give her a quote for some building work. Me. Oh, I'm sorry. Clinic boss is out of the office at the moment as she has another meeting. She didn't let me know you were coming. I can reschedule for you if you'd like. Sorry about this. Guy. Sighs irritably. No, I have already scheduled this meeting with her and spoken with her. Are you sure you're reading that diary properly? She's specifically asked me to come. I don't think she'll be impressed with you when she finds out she won't let me through. Me. As I've said, clinic boss is out of the office. Guy. No, my meeting is with the manager. I sleep when he won't. Me. Sticks hand over the desk to shake. Nice to meet you. My name is I sleep when he won't and we've never spoken to each other or arranged a meeting. Perhaps you haven't read your diary properly? We never did have that meeting. No specific story but I'm a 20-year-old female and I'm a manager at a hotel. I work first shift so I hear all the complaints. It's my favorite when people are just complaining left and right, just finding something to get a discount off their bill, and if I don't give them a big enough discount they get even more mad. They always demand to speak to my manager. I inform them I am the manager. Some reason they never believe me, but one time someone asked me if I was lying and I said nope, my name's up on the wall. Manger at a call center. I'd get asked all the time if I could transfer to another manager. The answer was always, as I am perfectly capable of handling your situation, I am unable to transfer you to someone else at my level. You can however feel free to end this conversation, call back, go through the ranks and maybe get someone else who will provide the same information. This normally led to a rant on how privileged they are and how garbage this is, which led me to respond an empathizing statement along the lines of, if I did this to myself I'd be pretty angry too. Is there anything else I can address for you? My manager is very young, 24 if I recall correctly, and frequently gets people telling him that he's too young to be a manager. Go to love hospitality. You're too young to be a manager. Well, you're too old to be a little bee, yet here we are. Bartending one night. These two girls come in, treat me like garbage, run me ragged and don't tip. Afterwards, they come up to me, each with resumes in tow, and ask for the manager on duty. I had the biggest and brightest smile when I told them it was me, and held my hand out for the resumes. They paled and went downstairs, lounge upstairs, dining room downstairs, and I figured they would leave. I got paged to the front hostess stand by the hostess, and there were the girls. They thought that I was lying to them. It was beautiful. I'm guessing they didn't get the job. I'm 25 and store manager at a textile store. One day there is an older couple. You can clearly see that these individuals live on the posh side of town. They are shopping for some new upholstery fabrics and like the one I helped them find, but the color is not quite right. The lady asks me to just place an order for the color she would like. I reply that I cannot order items I don't carry. She does not like my answer, measures me with a glance. I have a lot of tattoos and stretched lobes, and says she would like to speak with the manager or somebody that works there every day. Like me working there is a freaking community service. I reply that I am the manager, and if she can't find anything she likes, she can take her business elsewhere. Well, you have tattoos, so you obviously aren't trustworthy, yes. I was the customer care manager in charge of sales support for a medium-sized software company. We had 3 tiers of support, and then I was the last escalation point. If the VP above me, or anyone else above him, got any sales complaints, they would simply forward them to me. When I had time, I would help the tier 3 team and answer a few emails. When doing that, I would use a generic email signature without a title. If anyone replied demanding to speak to the manager, then I would reply the same thing, but I would add my formal email signature that had my title. Since it was email, I never got to see the customer's reaction, but I always enjoyed it. There were a few instances where customers accused me of lying about being the manager and telling me that they would get me fired when they get in touch with the real manager. Not my story, but my buddy's. We were working at a club, and he dragged a guy out. The guy was belligerent, but once outside, he stopped fighting and transitioned to being a yippy dog that barks, yet runs away when challenged. He was about 5 feet 6 inches and skinny, but my buddy was Samoan, about 6 feet 1 inches, and over 400 pounds. Here's the conversation that followed. Former customer: I'm going to get you fired tomorrow. Bouncer: okay, have a good night. Former customer: I know the manager. Now the chief of security and the GM are standing there, but they won't get involved in a legit removal unless there's a danger. Bouncer: what's the manager's name? Former customer: Bouncer's name. Bouncer: you know him? Former customer: yeah, he's my boy. Bouncer: can you describe him? Former customer: yeah, he's a big Samoan dude. The actual manager and the GM were doing their best to keep a straight face, as is my buddy, who is standing toe to toe with the dude he claims to know, and the only person of Samoan descent on staff. My buddy, constantly the professional, just said that he'd be waiting for the call. Later that night, we told the rest of the crew to a lot of laughter, and the manager made my buddy do the closing duties. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.